Hey guys, and welcome to or back to the Paws in Pursuit podcast with your host Summer Clark. So today's topic is another highly requested topic, and that is going to be my experience competing for Team GB with the YKC. So for those of you that don't know and haven't been following me for however many years, I was on Team GB for YKC with Ethel, my Border Terrier, in 2017, 18 and 19. So in 2017, that was my first year on the team, and I travelled to Luxembourg to compete at EOJ, and then 2018 was the Netherlands, so Holland, and then 2019 was Switzerland. So in my opinion, they got better as the years went on. But maybe that's because, I knew more people, I had more friends, I was more experienced, I had more confidence, who knows. But yeah, also, you can see I've got my laptop here today. I have now moved from the notebook to the laptop, so upgrades. And I've also got my AirPods in. I'm hoping that somehow makes the quality of the audio better, because I had someone tell me, shout out to James who told me this, thank you, that it was kind of picking up picking up other noises, like background noises, in my solo episodes on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, I believe. So I was like, well, I'll try my AirPods because there's a microphone right here and it's close to my mouth. So we'll see if that works. So let me know if you think the audio is better. But yeah, so let's get straight into it. So YKC Team GB. Obviously the Open Showcase is coming up very shortly in February, which I'll be doing with Arrow, trying to get on the senior team, because obviously I'm old now, I'm 21. So my last year I was 18, and obviously, 17. I think your last year's 17, yeah. When you turn 18 you are officially an adult and you have to do the senior team, which is a little bit scary but exciting at the same time. Obviously harder, I reckon, to get on in the adult team, especially when you're, just 18, 19, 20, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, we're going to give it our best shot. And yeah, so let's get started. So first of all, good luck to everyone that is trying out for the YKC team. And at the end of this episode, I will give you all my advice for those trying out and then those that actually do end up making the team. So first of all is the selection process. So in 2017, there were 2 tryout days. One was in one was in December, and then one was in February 2 months later. And we had 2 agility and 2 jumping on each of those tryout days. So it was, just a standard day of agility really. 2 agility, 2 jumping. You just go and compete like a normal show. That's pretty much what it was. Fun fact, in 2017, on my first year trying out, I did the tryouts and I actually didn't have a clue that it was tryouts. Someone was like, oh, you should do this YKC competition, and I was like, okay, why not? It was like, it's Nottingham, so it's like half an hour away from my house. So I was like, yes, why not? Bit of European experience. I'd never really done anything European till then. So I went along, did it, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, then, after I'd done the tryout, someone was like, oh, so you're excited, you might be going to Luxembourg, you did well, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, excuse me? And then, yeah, I think it was the GB management that actually said, after the second tryout day, they, we all had a debrief and stood there, and they were like, right, so we're going to announce the teams in a few weeks, and then those that make the team, you're going to have to start preparing for Luxembourg travel, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, what? Me and my mum just looked at each other like, what? But anyway, so I did make the team, and I did go to Luxembourg, and that was the start of my whole experience. So, yeah, funny story there, me being oblivious as usual. So that was in 2017, and then 2018, it was the same as 2017, but it also had a win on at Crufts in Agility Dog of the Year, I believe. So, the management was watching your Crufts performance as well, and then I'm pretty sure that the winner of Agility Dog of the Year automatically got onto the team. So they added Crufts into the tryout process as well as those 2 days in 2018, but I got on, obviously I wasn't in Agility Dog of the Year with Ethel, but I still got on the team from the tryout day, so it's just an extra way to sort of showcase your skills, try and get on. And then 2019 was the same as that in 2018, plus you had a win-on class at the tryout day, so I believe there was 1 agility win-on class per day. I can't remember if it was a class that was a win-on actually, or if it was like an overall, like of all of the runs. It might have been both actually. I'm pretty sure there was a class where first and second won on or something, because I remember it being the faster dogs. Yeah, because I went clear and I was like, well, I'm not going to win on because I'm not going to win. Yeah, so they had that. So, yeah, it was a run that you could win or come second and win on. But then I think they also did one where the overall person in each height from both tryout days combined got on, I'm pretty sure. But again, none of those things I ever got on from. I purely got on from the management's choice. Obviously, Ethel was steadier, was less likely to like win things, you know, crufts, you know, win on spot runs and stuff like that. So, you know, don't worry about those things too much. It's just an extra opportunity. So now it's a little bit different, obviously, well, a lot different now. Obviously, I skipped a few years because of COVID and obviously me being old. But now there's the Open Showcase, which is coming up in Feb, and anyone can enter that. It's like a tryout, if that makes sense. And then you've got the PSQ, pre-selection qualifier. So from the Open Showcase, the management selects dogs to qualify for the PSQ. I believe, again, there's win on spots in finals and stuff like that. I think there's a final at the Open Showcase. You know, combined results, I think. I can never remember whether it's combined results or it's a class that's a win on. But then, you know, and obviously there'll be just management choices from the Open Showcase that leads them to invite dogs to the PSQ. So either way, through doing well at the Open Showcase, you get invited to the PSQ, and then the dogs that are successful in the same way at the PSQ will then be invited to actually try out for the team. And then those are the actual tryouts, and then again, in the same way, from the results from the tryouts, you get actually selected for the actual team. So I believe that is how it works this year. Like I said, I'm doing it with Arrow, but I'm mainly doing it for, like I said, experience. He's still young, you know, he's had his issues with sensitivity. He missed a year with COVID, all these kind of things, you know, so it's just going to be great experience. Getting on Team GB, you know, on the senior team with Arrow is my long-term goal. That is my goal with him. You know, I'm determined to do that 1 year. You know, I'm not saying, oh yes, it's this year, because this is his first year trying out and he's only 3, but it's definitely something I want to keep doing and keep working towards. So that is exciting, but I'm not putting too much pressure on this year for those reasons. And then, yeah, so obviously, as well as all that, for the selection process, the management also just judges you on things, that sounds really harsh, you know, just takes into consideration other factors such as speed, miles per second, so how fast the dog travels over the ground, consistency, so getting a clear round. I remember all these years ago, what was it, 2017, 18, 19, 20, 22, 6, that's ridiculous, 6 years ago, that's ridiculous, that was my first year on the team. 6 years ago, agility was less advanced in a sense, it's advanced a lot, agility is only getting faster, and there was a big emphasis on getting clear rounds, because at the end of the day they said, you know, if you don't get a clear round then you're not going to place anyway, even if you're fast. So there was a big emphasis on consistency, and I believe that is one of the main reasons me and Ethel got on the team, because we were a very consistent partnership. However, you know, I don't know, you know, these days agility is a lot faster, and obviously if you want to medal then you really need to be quite fast. But again, there's team events and you do need as many clear rounds as you can in that. So again, I think they choose a few dogs from each sort of category. So, you know, I noticed a trend of like 2 fast dogs, 2 consistent dogs. So on the team with me, for my last year of EOJ was me, Jack, Penny and Lucas. Penny and Lucas had faster dogs and me and Jack had more consistent dogs. So they kind of like to balance it out across the team in that sense as well. Obviously Penny and Lucas, the faster dogs, won. I think they won on, you know, from the win-ons because they're fast. And then they chose 2 consistent dogs. You know, again, I don't know what exactly the process is, but from my experience, you know, this is the kind of pattern I've noticed. And things that I think they sort of favour in handlers. Contacts and contact point consistency, that's another thing that's important. You know, if your dog pings every single contact, which Ethel didn't at the time, she did before retirement, but on her GB years she actually had good contacts, surprisingly. So yeah, so contact consistency, because, you know, 5 faults, 10 faults, 15 faults, can't really be doing it with it abroad. If possible, you don't want to take on a dog that's likely to do that. So that is that. And then handler attitude is a big one for me. Like, I think it's a big one. You know, they're not going to want to take someone who's got a bad attitude, bad sportsmanship, stuff like that, because it's just not going to be a pleasant experience, and that's not a good representation of the country. And then experience as well. So again, I got on without any experience in 2017, but then obviously 2018-19 I had the experience of already competing there the year before and doing well and having a good attitude and all sorts of things. So, you know, experience will play a part. You know, everyone knows what you've achieved in the past, so that I suppose that's something else that they consider. So that's pretty much the selection process. Don't put too much pressure on it, just give it your best shot, do everything you can, and the management should see all your good points. But yeah, so the build up to the actual event, one side got selected. There was frequent team training days, so we'd go, it was Nottingham Trent University at the time when I was on the team, so we'd go to the uni, the equestrian centre. I think like maybe 3 times in the build up, and we'd have a day where we just did training. You know, you had the coaches at the time. It's all different now, but you know, it's just a complete training setting. You'd sort of practice doing things to like the whistle. Obviously, European judges blow a whistle so you can start, stuff like that. So we just practice the format of the championships and then work on little areas. You know, break the course down into sections like you do at training. Do one bit at a time. So it was very sort of an informal training day where you just go and, you know, it was really nice, to be honest, because, you know, it sort of brought us all together as a team. We got to know the coaches more, stuff like that, you know, found out what everyone needs to work on. And then we also had team bonding experiences, so exercises, same thing. For example, escape rooms. So in 2018, the team went to Nottingham escape rooms and we all got into groups and we did escape rooms, and that was just brilliant because we got to make friends more, you know, icebreakers, stuff like that for people who didn't know each other yet, people who aren't been on the team before with those people. So there was a few team bonding exercises as well. We did like sports, I think we did like rounders, stuff like that after shows, which is my next point. So we had team training evenings at shows. So one that stands out to me is Hinckley in 2017. My first year on the team, and we had a team training day after the Hinckley show had finished. So it's a champ show, so the champ finals happened, and then we went, you know, everyone sort of left, went back to their caravans. It was pretty dead, and then we all just used one of the rings to train, which was again really nice. I just remember getting like ridiculously sunburnt on that day. But yeah, so we had team training evenings at shows because obviously most of the team are at those big shows. They'd usually be at big shows like champ or premier shows. So it's again another opportunity for us all to come together and get some practice in. So that is, you know, that is a big part of the build-up. And then obviously you also get your team kit, and you can buy like props. So I'll get into this in a bit, but like opening, closing ceremony, you know, you have fun with it. Like we had like GB flags, GB glasses, sunglasses, GB headbands, GB nails, GB face paint, stuff like that. So we got all our kit and props together. And obviously you have to choose your sizing for the kit, you know, what you want, whether you want jackets, caps, what kind of length leggings, all these things. And then obviously you need to get your third measure or your FCI measure. So again, nowadays, and I think nowadays I know you have to get it before you even try out. Arrow's got his the day before the Open Showcase. And this is the FCI measure, so, you know, it's their last measure, basically. That just confirms what height they're in, so there's no confusion or, you know, dogs going up or down heights at the actual event, which is stressful and just a nightmare. So you need to make sure you get your third measure in the build-up to the event. Like I said, now you need to get it before you even try out, but I don't think you did back in 2017. But anyway, yeah, just make sure that's sorted out. And then there was when I was on it, a private, God's sake, private Facebook group. So all the management was on it and all the members, parents were on it as well, because obviously it was a junior team. I was like 16. And yeah, so that was great. You know, they put like resources, key dates, everything you need to know as a team member on that page. So it was nice, you know, just interacting with that. Another way to get to know people more, get familiar with everything. And obviously, agility people live all over the country, don't they? So there is an area where we're always all together in one space and we can talk and share material and stuff like that without actually having to be together. And then some people did fundraising events and activities at shows. I didn't at the time, I didn't have to, but now it's something, now I'm paying my own way and all sorts like that, I would definitely have to fundraise. So I know people did like bake sales, activities, stuff like that at shows, sold like, they made like dog collars, stuff like that, I think a few people did, and fundraised for them to go out abroad. So that is something a lot of people did on the during the build-up. Again, the more you get on with that, the sooner you get on with that, the better, the more you'll make from it. And then training shows in the sense of, booking shows with the idea of, okay, I'm going to this show, but I'm not looking to necessarily win out or get this or get that. I'm going to train criteria if it's necessary. So I booked a lot of shows, and if Ethel broke her criteria on, say, a contact, I would put her back on, or even if she stopped but then quick released herself or whatever, and, if it wasn't absolutely perfect, I did everything I could leading up to the event at shows to really solidify all the good behaviours I wanted from her at EOJ. So, I basically, most of my shows that I entered leading up to EOJ were, this is good practice for EOJ. And then obviously like a week, well, it doesn't matter how long, everyone was different, but tapering before leading up to EOJ to avoid injury and burnout. So I didn't really do this. I didn't feel like me or Ethel needed it at the time. But obviously I took a week where I didn't do agility with her before we left. You're not going to train like 2 days before you go out abroad, because imagine if the dog hurt itself or you hurt yourself, or if you overtrain before the event, you and your dog are going to be tired, probably burnt out, and you're not going to perform very well at the event anyway. But a lot of people, I know a lot of the seniors do it where they taper for like maybe up to a month even. And it's just where they don't do any agility, nothing high intensity or excessive leading up to the event. That is tapering. So that is something to consider. Some people call it like wrapping you and your dog in bubble wrap leading up to a major event, just to make sure that you are good to go when you get there. But yeah, that is an option, and everyone again is different. Vaccinations, so you need to make sure your dog's vaccinations are up to date before you travel in plenty of time. That is a big part of the build up. Funny story, during Brexit year, I can't remember what year this was now, I think it might have been either the second or third year. I think it might have been my last year actually. I think it might have been 2019. Brexit was, I think that was 2019. But yeah, so dogs had to have a blood test. I can't remember why now, but they had to have a blood test to make sure there was a certain level of something in their system. Oh no, rabies vaccinations, that was it. So obviously they needed an up-to-date rabies vaccination, which Ethel did have, but for some reason, because of Brexit and travelling abroad and borders and all this faff, dogs had to get a blood test a certain amount of weeks or months before EOJ, before they travelled abroad, to make sure they had enough of the vaccination left in their system against rabies. So Ethel's vaccination was up to date, but people were saying, just get another one. If it's only like a month or a few months until your next one anyway, get another one so that there's definitely going to be enough antibodies, that's it, in the dog's system to pass the blood test, because if they didn't pass the blood test, they couldn't travel. Anyway, we discovered that Ethel's vaccination, she was up to date, but it was only, she was only just up to date. Like, it had run out like a week after we come back from EOJ. And then we realised that she needed the blood test, and we were like, what if there isn't enough antibodies from all that time ago, even though it's technically up to date with the vaccinations? What if it's still too far away for it to have enough of the antibodies? Because it was obviously a new process and a new thing that they enforced. So that was a big panic. I think we left it a little bit too late. Well, no, we didn't leave it too late. I think it would have only been too late if she'd have failed the blood test. But it was just very stressful because she did pass the blood test, but if she hadn't, I think we would have been out of time to travel abroad. So just make sure you are clued up on all of that sort of stuff. Make sure you know what's going on with travel and stuff like that, and then make sure your passports are up to date, yours and your dog's, and factor in, again with vaccinations, blood tests, passports, factor in the amount of time it takes from applying for the passport or getting the blood test or whatever it is to the actual event, like the time between them, because passports, you can't just apply for it a month before the event and get the passport. Passports can take months to get to you. I've just renewed my passport and it was such a long time between actually doing the application and getting the actual physical passport, so just make sure you leave enough time for that. Then you also need to figure out travel and hotels, so plan your route, stuff like that, and know where you're staying, whether you're in a hotel or camping, whether you're stopping off in a different country on the way, how long it's going to take you, how long you want to be in the country before you actually have to compete to get acclimatised and settled in, all that stuff. Prepare way in advance is my biggest piece of advice. Eurotunnel booking, you need to make that. You need to make sure you're there in plenty of time. I would literally rather be 5 hours early to my Eurotunnel booking than miss it by a minute, to be honest. And then weather acclimatisation is something else you can do in the build-up, so running in the heat on the same surface as the event if you know, so you know what surface you're going to be, the venue, so you know what surface you're going to be running on leading up to the event. So if it's sand, go to venues with sand. If it's grass, go to venues with grass. Stuff like that, is it slippery? Is it, is it going to be hot in that country? If it is, train on grass that's been a bit dried out. Not too stupid, and same with heat. Don't be stupid. Don't be like, oh, it's 40 degrees, I'm going to run all day just to acclimatise me and my dog. Or, oh, this surface is really dangerous, I'm going to run on it because it might be like that at the event. But just consider it. So, for example, one of the years I did KCI and Dogs in Need before an event. Actually, no, I think that was IMCA. Yeah, it was IMCA, but still, same principle. The country's going to be hot, so I thought, go to KCI. It was pretty warm, so I was like, great practice, do a run. Obviously be sensible about it, but it's an opportunity to do what you're going to have to do at EOJ, because if you're used to running in the cold and then you go and run in the heat, you and your dog are just not going to be feeling it, but if you're used to it, then you know how to manage exercising in that heat, and just prepare in that sense, know what's coming, be prepared. Practice makes perfect. So that is that, and then the actual event we'll move on to now. So EOJ, it was 4 days. We had 4 runs, so individual and team agility and individual and team jumping. I think it was 4 days anyway. Maybe one year was 3 days. But anyway, yeah, there was 4 runs, always 4 runs. Agility jumping, team, agility jumping, individual. 4 partnerships per team, per height. And then individual runs were, team runs, were done as individual runs back to back. So say I would run and then it'd end like a normal run. But then the next dog in to run their individual run would be my teammate. Do you get what I mean? And it'd be like the 4 UK people in a row, but it's not a relay. They are individual runs, but you do run back to back, obviously. So that is how that works. I think the last year of EOJ they had a team of 4 smalls and then another team of 3 smalls. And then again it depends upon heights. I think they had more large teams than medium teams. And then each country has a base at the venue. So there was a little hut in Switzerland. I remember I'm mainly using Switzerland because it's the freshest in my memory. Because it's 4 years ago instead of 4 years ago instead of 6 or whatever. So there was a little hut and we set up all our dog crates, all our chairs, all our everything. And that is where you sort of spend your time as you wait around for your runs. So, you want to make that comfortable. Again, I'll come on to that in a bit. But you spend most of your time at your base. And, there's opposite us was a different country's base. Do you get what I mean? So obviously, as standard FCI, you have 8 minutes to walk each course. So obviously utilise that. And yeah, there's a lot of waiting around at the base. And then obviously you have your opening and closing ceremonies, which is like a parade. You've got your team chant, you're wearing your flag, stuff like that. There's someone on the tannoy, you run around in your countries and everyone cheers. That is a lot of fun. One of my favourite things about it, I think, was the opening and closing ceremonies. They were so fun. It's just unbelievable atmosphere. That is brilliant. And then obviously you need to have your vet check. So, well, you don't, but your dog does. So when you get to the event, I'm pretty sure from memory, the first day of the event, when we got to the venue, was opening ceremony, vet checks, measures, and then a bit of team training as well. So you get I think half an hour as a team to use a ring and train. Like I say, and that was quite rushed because obviously they have to fit all the countries in on that day. So all that sort of prep happens on the first day, and then competing starts the next. So yeah, I think that's what I mean when I said 4 days. I think the first day is not competition. I think the first day is you got your vet checks, measure, training, ceremony, opening, stuff like that. So that is a little bit of a rush, the team training, but at least you do get to sort of, you know, get a bit of a gist to what it'll feel like to run in that venue, in that heat, on that surface, stuff like that. And obviously you've got your coaches there, practice what you want, you know, say, oh, my dog has an A-frame, you know, my dog's A-frame isn't great, can I practice that mostly? Stuff like that. So you've got your vet check, you know, the vet check will check your dog over like a normal routine exam at your local vets, and then also check the gait, so you walk your dog up and down to make sure it is fit to run, because obviously dog welfare is paramount. Then you've got obviously your measure as well. So another thing at EOJ that I noticed, you've got your team strategy. So in the team events, you've got your consistent dogs and your fast dogs. So what we did is the consistent dogs went last and the fast dogs went first. So the fast dogs just went for it, because obviously you do want the fastest dogs times to count. So only 3 dogs times actually counted, but obviously having a team of 4, you had that one extra person. So I'm pretty sure I went last because I was the most consistent, I think. So the first 3 dogs were faster, fastest one first, and then if they'd gone clear, brilliant, but then that's absolutely fantastic, pressure's off me anyway. But if they hadn't gone clear, then I know to, you know, use my consistency and make sure it is clear, or, you know, push for speed otherwise. So you want to keep your consistent dogs as a backup, really, for if the fast dogs go wrong to start with, because really it's EOJ, it's a championship. You know, you want to have the fastest time you can, but you also don't want faults. So if those fast dogs go and they're clear, excellent. If they make mistakes, then you've still got your consistent dogs to get those clears in for the team towards the end. And then also social events, that was another of my favourite parts of the whole process. So we had those in the evenings with other countries. So, you know, you'd do parties, so discos, stuff like that, with music, a few drinks, stuff like that. And then we do sports, so we went back to the campsite in Switzerland, I think it was Switzerland, or Holland, and obviously I was in a hotel, but we all went back to the campsite anyway, and there was another country camping on the same campsite, and we all played volleyball, rounders, stuff like that. So we sort of just vibed with the other countries. So it's a very social event, so make the most of that. And then the shirt swap. I love the shirt swap. So you swap I think we get 3 shirts. We got 3 team kit shirts, and I swapped 2 of my shirts with other countries. So I kept a GB shirt and then I had 2 from another country. Literally, my whole wardrobe is foreign shirts, but that is super fun. You know, go for the ones you like the design of, people that are same size of you. That is so fun. You know, it often happens on the last day, but my advice is to do it immediately. Like, even if it's before you even start competing, if you see someone with a shirt you like that's your size, be like, oh, can I swap your shirts? So that is a super fun part of that, and like I said, I just wear them to all my training and competitions nowadays. That is literally my whole wardrobe, and it's all for free, so it's great. So there's that, and then you've got stores, so you can do a bit of shopping, but like I said, it is literally just a massive agility show. So think KCI, think Crufts. Well, maybe not Crufts, KCI. Think KCI, but there's people from all the countries. That's pretty much what it is. And then there's a live stream as well, so obviously my mum couldn't go the first year because she had work, so she watched the live stream. So it's all live streamed, and then you can go back and watch it and, you know, screen record your runs because it looks really cool from the live stream. There's that as well, and obviously people from all over the world are watching that, so that's awesome. Again, I don't know if that's still like that now. That was just from when I was on the team. And then obviously, generally, when you've got individual versus team runs, you'd go for it for speed in the individual runs and then be more careful and aim for a clear in the team runs. Again, it's all preference, but generally that is what happens. Obviously, you want more clears in the team runs, whereas the individual ones, you may as well just go for it because, you know, with all the other countries there and the standards of some of the other dogs, then you just got to go for it. Go for it and enjoy it, basically. You know, some of the other countries are insane too. Like, you've got Russia. There was another one, I can't remember. But some of the standard abroad is insane, so it's amazing to watch, and I spent pretty much a lot of the time when I wasn't running watching all the other countries because it's just it's like a cultural shock almost to see like the standard of agility, and it's so interesting. And talking to people from other countries about agility in their country and stuff, it's just a great experience, not just for the actual running. So my advice now for juniors trying out for the team and those that actually do make the team, so think of it as valuable experience on European courses. Like, I went into it that first year not even knowing what it was. I just wanted to do it, I wanted experience, and I ended up making the team. So it is a brilliant experience. Trying out is a great experience, especially if you're still young. If you're trying out for the junior team, you've got your whole life ahead of you for the senior team. This is just the start, and this is just practice. So obviously prepare, take it seriously, give it your all, do everything you can to do well, but at the same time, just think of it in a positive light. Don't stress yourself out too much, because that never helps. And yeah, it's just brilliant experience on those types of courses. And also find out the judges at the tryouts and the actual event, and practice skills that they set. So often in judges, if you research judges and the courses that they set, you can see a pattern in the types of lines they set, the skills they have in their courses and stuff like that. Just the general design of each judge's courses is completely personal to them. So research the judges and practice the kinds of courses and skills that they set, so you're prepared. If you can't do that yourself, if you don't have the space, ask your trainer, if you have a trainer, if they can set courses up from those judges, stuff like that, because everyone will benefit from that. So don't be afraid of approaching your trainer and asking them to set up a course. They'll probably enjoy, be thankful for the inspiration and stuff like that, and it will help everyone. Attack the courses with confidence in your prep. So you need to be confident in your prep. So if you've prepared as much as you can, you should go into the event with confidence. You've done your all, that's it. There's nothing else you could have done. You should have confidence in yourself and your dog after you've prepared, especially on those types of courses, in those types of environments and stuff like that. And to be honest, if you're too careful at a course, then it usually, in my experience, if I'm extremely careful, if I'm dying for a clear, then it's usually not that great. I'm usually too far behind, it's a messy run or whatever. Whereas agility is just so much more fun if you attack the course. So just thrive in it, just attack the course, see what you can do, test your skills. And yeah, especially in tryouts, you just want to be attacking those courses like you would if you were at EOJ, at a championship event. Because like I said, the management take into consideration your attitude, approach to things, confidence, stuff like that, in my opinion, I think. So yeah, attack those courses with confidence, because if you're prepared, then that's all you can do. Maintain a positive attitude and sportsmanship, that's important. No management is going to want to take on someone who is negative and gets angry if they go wrong, or upset every time they go wrong, and can't congratulate other people when they do better than them and stuff like just basic sportsmanship, stuff like that. That's super important. You're going to be part of a team, so show that team spirit from the very start, and you'll have a way better chance, and it'll be a much more enjoyable experience. And then get to know your fellow team members and socialise. That is, I'd say, the most enjoyable part of those 3 years on Team GB was as well the social aspect. I just felt, feeling part of that community, that team, it's brilliant. I made most of my lifelong friends through YKC Team GB, so take that in mind. Don't just sit in your car like you would at a normal show with your parent. Just get out there and make some friends, By the end of the process, you've spent so much time together anyway. But yes, most of my lifelong friends are from the junior agility world, and a lot of them I met through Team GB, so take advantage of that big time, and you'll enjoy it so much more. That is super important. And attend all the training days and team events. Now, some of the team events and training days aren't compulsory, but I just do them. Why wouldn't you? I know maybe you have to travel 3 hours, and yes, in some circumstances you might not be able to make it for personal reasons, which is fine, but try your very best to go and make it and be a part of it. The more you're a part of it, the more you're going to fit into the team and feel part of the team. And also, the more training days you do, the more prepared you and your dog are going to be, because all the training days for the team are going to be on courses that you are likely to see abroad. So just take advantage of every opportunity you get as part of that team. Just dive in head first, no holding back, do everything, because it's an incredible experience, and it might be a one-off experience. It is it is the peak of, Team GB is the peak of agility, in my opinion. And yeah, it is, everyone dreams, well, not everyone, but a lot of people aiming for the top end of agility dream of Team GB. So if you make it, then just get stuck right in and make the most of it. And then ensure your dog is comfortable getting measured. So it's going to be a random person measuring your dog, putting the hoop over or the thing down, whatever they do. Just get your dog used to being handled and measured. Even invest in buying a hoop, borrowing a hoop, just getting used to that. Make it a trick. Teach your dog to, go under the measuring hoop and stand, stand in a good position. Stand square, teach that as a trick, make it fun, use food, toys, stuff like that. So when you go to the event, it's just common practice for your dog to get under that hoop. It's just you and your dog doing a behaviour that you are used to and your dog already understands. Because there's nothing worse than going to an event like that that's chaotic and crowded and loud, and your dog will not stand for its measure, and it takes ages and you can't get it done, and you're stressing out about how you're going to compete with a dog that hasn't had that third measure. So just practice that. Fundraise, it's expensive, okay? So travelling abroad is always expensive. It's always going to be expensive in that sense, especially when it's for a while, several days. You got to take your dog, stuff like that. All of the little things like everything, passports, vaccinations, everything, it all adds up and it is expensive. Travel costs, hotel costs, everything, it's expensive. Get that fundraising going. Some people might not need to. I didn't at the time. Fair enough, but just fundraise. Just get started straight away. As soon as you find out on the team, start organising things, get stuck in, don't be shy. I'm sure people will be more than happy to help you out from the agility world. So yes, it is expensive. And then train criteria in the ring leading up to the tryouts and DOJ if necessary. So for example, if your dog has a weak dog walk contact, use the shows you have before leading up to that event for practice for that piece of equipment. So make sure you are sticking to criteria, giving praise, whatever, holding on contact, stuff like that. Whatever your dog's weakness is, whatever you need to work on, do that at shows leading up to the tryouts and events, so that that, just to drill that into your dog's head more. So I would definitely do that, and taper for as long as makes you comfortable. So this is entirely individual. If you're worried about you or your dog hurting yourself leading up to the event, taper for however many weeks you want to. If you don't think that's a risk, don't taper. If you feel more comfortable training right up to the actual event because you'd feel more prepared, train right up to the event and don't taper. But, think of the build-up, like really, really think about how long you've got between finding out you're on the team and the event, and try and plan how you're going to prepare in advance, whether you write that down or whatever. Just make sure there's a plan in place so you go into it confidently and with structure. And that helps, because it is a stressful thing to do, represent your country for Team GB. Of course it is, it's always going to be. So to ease the stress and chaoticness of the whole situation, especially if it's your first time, just have a plan in place and know what you're going to do. Don't be afraid to reach out to people who have done it before. Like I said, my DMs are always open if anyone wants any more advice about Team GB or my experience or what I would suggest in any situation. Feel free to message me and we can have a conversation, or utilise the management team. They're all lovely. They were when I was on it, and I'm sure they are now. I haven't had much experience of them now. I haven't been on a team since then, obviously, moving into seniors, but that's what they're there for. They're there to help manage. They're there to manage the team and help you out, and they want to see you succeed and do well. So use them, ask questions, get involved, stuff like that. Sort vaccinations and passports immediately and check they're up to date. As soon as you find out you're on the team, get that sorted now. Make sure they're there, ready to go, because things like that take time to process and get to you. So again, just take that unnecessary stress away from you, because if you don't have your passport, that's it, you're not going. So make sure that's sorted. Plan travel way ahead of time. So again, another way to alleviate stress, and make sure you get there in time to settle in and stuff before you have to compete. So I stopped in France for a night each way. So I travelled to the Eurotunnel. From me which was a massive journey itself. Got the Eurotunnel and then drove to France and then stayed in France for a night, and then the next day travelled the remainder of the way to the actual country, and then same on the way back, you know, travel from the country to France, stop over in France, get up the next morning, drive to the Eurotunnel, get it, and then drive home. So structure it in a way that will be most convenient to you, but again, just advance everything in advance. And then run in similar weather on a similar surface when safe. Like I said earlier, utilise your build-up as far as making sure you and your dog can manage running in the heat or on sand if you have only ever run on grass, stuff like that. And set up a comfy and cool space at base where you and your dog can rest. So if you actually get on the team and you have your base there, make sure you've got a nice comfy crate with plenty of air to it. You know, maybe get a blanket to go over the crate so your dog's not constantly under stimulation from, you know, other countries' dogs or the team members' dogs. It's loud and busy, so just do that, and, you know, get yourself some noise cancelling headphones so you can have a little rest, little chill without being so overstimulated all the time, because it is a very chaotic event, and you know, rest is important, and you need your downtime both mentally and physically for you and your dog. So just invest in those things, you know, get a comfy fold-up chair to take so that you have somewhere comfy to sit. Make sure your dog's got a nice comfy bed in there. You know, make sure you've got lots of water, your dog's got their bowl there. You know, set up your own little space. That is really important. You need to utilise that time to rest and recover in between runs. And, you know, if you're feeling like you are overwhelmed or tired and need a rest, especially on, you know, one of the last days, then don't think, oh, just because I'm at EOJ I need to be out, go, constantly doing things around the venue, seeing things, etc., talking to different people. Don't be afraid to take a few hours to just sit reading on your phone, whatever, quietly with your headphones in if you need time to recharge. And get your dog used to being handled and checked by a stranger. Again, just get someone that you know that your dog maybe isn't that familiar with to mimic sort of a health check. So like you'll have seen your dog get a health check at the vets. So ears, eyes, face, teeth, you know, lifting the I was about to say jaw, lifting the lips up, check the teeth, in between the toes, tail, you know, rear end, under belly, chest, groin, stuff like that. Running hands down the dog's back, stuff like that. Make sure your dog's comfortable being handled by absolutely anyone in that pretty invasive sense. Which is very important, again, so that you and your dog don't get overwhelmed when it actually happens for real at the event. Same with measuring, make sure your dog is comfortable with that before it happens. Walk the courses with your teammates and discuss tactics and options. This is so important, and it is really reassuring. You must know what I mean. Have you ever walked a course on your own at a show and you're like, there's about 3 options, I don't know which one to do. You know, at this point now, usually I know which one to do because of experience, and I know my dog, but especially if it's quite new to you, European courses as well. Walk with your teammates, even in individual runs, walk with your teammates, discuss their views, your views, what options to do. You have a plan B on courses, what plan A that you'll go for, but then have a plan B if you think, oh, I might be a bit behind there, but I'm going to try not to be, but if I do get behind, here's plan B. Do you know what I mean? Stuff like that. So utilise that 8 minutes well by discussing things with your teammates while you actually get the chance to be in there walking that course. And socialise with other countries because it's so much fun and it's such a rarity. Like, this doesn't happen very often. This never happens at UK shows where there's every single country ever at the same show doing agility. So do that because it is a crazy experience. It's a crazy feeling to be surrounded by, you know, all these other juniors that do agility. Like, you kind of sit and think, oh, it's a really niche thing, you know, not loads of people my age do it or people in general do it. But then you go to this event and you see all these juniors doing agility and you're like, wow, this is crazy. You know, make those friends while they're there. And then enjoy the incredible experience. It is an incredible experience. For a lot of people, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, you know, something most people strive for years, and just enjoy it, make the most of it. And yeah, that is pretty much all the advice I can give you. just grab this opportunity if you get it with open arms, and just have a great time, because it is brilliant. It is, those 3 years, the best 3 years of my life. I can say that now. EOJ, the whole process, best experience of my life. Improved my confidence. It was so much fun. It made me my lifelong friends. It's just fantastic. Like I said, please do DM me, reach out to me if you have any further questions or want some advice on my experience with the whole thing. And for those trying out, go for it. Prepare, be confident in your preparation. Try your hardest, but don't put too much pressure on, because there's an opportunity to try out every year. You're just going to get better and better as you go. This is just another year to gain that experience. And yeah, that pretty much wraps up this episode. So thanks to the person who recommended me to do this topic, because, like I said, it is a large part of my agility career, being on YKC Team GB for those years. And yeah, that's 45 minutes worth of my entire experience with Team GB. I hope I haven't missed anything out, because, like I said, it is a full-on experience and there's a lot involved. But yeah, reach out to me with any other questions. If you did enjoy this episode, please give the podcast a hopefully 5-star review, and like it, share it, all the things. If you know a junior that is trying out or would like to try out, or is hoping to get on the team one year, then please share this with them. Hopefully it will be really valuable for them. Also follow me on all the socials. I'll put that in the description below and here on the screen. Again, let me know about the audio quality. Hopefully it's better this time with my new setup. And yeah, all feedback is welcome. Criticism is welcome if necessary. I take it constructively. But yeah, so I'm super active on socials, so go follow those. Give the podcast a review. That would mean the absolute world to me. And I will see you next Wednesday at 8 PM. Bye, guys.